Andrea Bailey-Erb is a North Charleston resident and a former Charleston County School District constituent school board member who's concerned about the future of the city of North Charleston's District 6 area where she lives. And that's one of the reasons why she's running for North Charleston City Council to represent that area. I speak exclusively with Andrea for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Andrea Bailey-Erb, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. Needless to say, you are a retired histologist, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I guess you could say retired.
Yes, ma'am. And of course, we all know that you're busy with your two kids. You have a 5 and 10-year-old.
Yep.
And I know that you've been very active in the community in North Charleston. In fact, now you are actually a candidate for North Charleston City Council's District 6 area, which I just looked at the map and it's very interesting, but you can tell the viewers.
Yeah, it's definitely a district that the neighborhoods are smaller, older, and broken up, and then a lot of businesses within the industry. So up and down rivers.
Sure.
It's kind of the bus rapid transit system line right there on rivers.
Wow. Yeah, and I saw some parts of West Montague, and I think your area goes up to Cross County and Dorchester Road too, if I'm not mistaken.
It does. It circles around back there, and it's like mixtures of like older homes that have been mixed in with some industry and you know, stuff like that.
Wow. So I know that you've
and then of course the new apartments. Apartments are in there too. Yeah.
Exactly right. Yeah, I pass by that all the time on my way back to the house. But I know obviously you're busy with taking care of your kids and you're busy working in the community. So why North Charleston City Council? Why now?
So I've run in the past. I did sit on the constituent school board for North Charleston for 4 years. So that was interesting. Learned a lot then. I just feel like our area hasn't gotten a true voice in many years. And this district is kind of split up, and it used to be part Dorothy Williams, and she knew how to speak up. But our area didn't have as much of a voice as hers did. And, we have so many businesses and the tax dollars coming in right in our district, and we don't see it. We don't see the input into our neighborhoods, whether it's time or money or, our communities are so small, even whenever 20, 30 people get together, it's only 20 or 30 people. But, I would like to see the district as a whole come together as one community instead of saying, oh, well, I live in Liberty Hill, I live in Ferndale, I live in Singing Pines. The whole district needs to come together because a lot of our problems are the same within our small neighborhoods, and fix them together for each other, not just worried about small parts.
You talk about those small parts and those small neighborhoods. What exactly are those problems versus the big neighborhoods with their big problems?
Well, I don't know that they're necessarily different. I think the older, smaller neighborhoods have the older North Charlestonians in it, the family lines. I mean, some of the people in our neighborhood, its family have lived in the house for 60 years. It's never changed hands. It's all in the same family. And I mean, you have the traffic that's coming through the older neighborhoods, because of North Charleston is how it is. So you've got that, and then you've got the spot crimes that come up every now and again. And it's hard when you're a small neighborhood to get some help in there, because like my neighborhood, they tell us, well, you're so safe, you don't have any crime, we can't put our resources there. But as a whole, if you put all of our smaller communities together, we're all having, the door checking handle, going through, and the small, burglaries like that. And it's like, focus on our district instead of just saying, oh, well, you don't have enough,
And Ms. Andrea, you talk about that. Let me drill on that just for a second. Where exactly are the burglaries occurring in your district right now?
A lot of it's the car checking, seeing if the cars are locked, and it starts there. And then, unfortunately, because we have such a homeless population, they're starting to see the garages, getting into the garages, getting into the laundry rooms, and it's unfortunate that it's happening, and it pits kind of homeowners against homeless, which it shouldn't be like that because we're all people. But it makes it to where it's not a good community to live in.
Wow. Well, let me ask it this way. When exactly did you see the increase in homelessness in your district?
Within the last 3 years. It's been getting, they've moved them around right there at 526.
Oh, yes.
I don't know how many times. They'll come in with bulldozers and dumpsters and move them, and then they'll be back the next day. And, I've talked to some people in the city, and they're like, yeah, we're going to develop this area. We've got to go in and we've got to move them out. And they just push them along, and because we have so much business, they stay around the business. They need the food. They need they need the things. So they do stay around, and it seems as if, like, my neighbor had somebody sleeping in her bushes right outside of her front window. And she called me, and I'm like, what? What are we going to do? And then, we got her, we thought, removed or whatever. And a street over, a guy found the same woman sleeping in a pile of leaves 2 days later. And I don't know what the real solution is to it, but the solution's not there right now. And it's bothering some of the residents.
Wow. So how many times have your neighbors had to call the North Charleston Police Department and say, hey, we need help. We need to remove this person from my property?
I don't know. Maybe like 10 times in the past year. But the problem is a lot of the residents feel like even when they call, they don't get heard. So they tend to call me and be like, hey, can you help us out?
Wow.
Or, stuff like that. They'll call me, who should we call? What should we contact? Are they going to do anything? And even, they're like, well, they'll come get them now, but they'll be back tomorrow. So it's a ring around the rosy, and it needs to be fixed. And I feel like, I could get in there, ask the questions, figure it out, find some solutions that will solve it for everybody. So everybody can have some kind of positive outcome instead of just keep on going.
And you talk about those businesses. So how many businesses do you have currently in your district?
Ooh, I don't know. That's going to be a big number. I don't even know how many.
Wow.
Because we've got fast food restaurants, we've got motels, we've got industry, we're so diverse in this district. We've got everything.
Wow. And I know, obviously, as you know, just like everyone else, so many people are now moving into North Charleston, the city of North Charleston. So what are the last figures of population for your district, District 6?
I don't know, but I will tell you that the population comparatively to the voters that are actually active and voting in this district is sad. For the last 4 elections, there's been around 700, 800 voters for the whole district. And there'll be thousands of people, 10,000 people living there. There's not even a tenth of people who feel like there's a reason to get out and vote, or that can make it to vote, because we're a working district. We're a majorly working district, and I'm sure a lot of the people in the district have first and second jobs. It's not just regular 8 to 5. These people are working. They're working hard. They're working all the time, and it puts a strain, and it shows in the district.
Wow. So I hate to use numbers a lot in this interview, but how much is it when it comes to voters versus actual people living in the district?
I think it's a tenth. Now, those numbers can change a lot because of whenever they put up the apartments and stuff like that.
Wow.
And I don't think we have a large, long-time resident as much as we used to. you know, whenever they put up those apartments and the townhomes and the stuff like that. You got people coming and going all the time. So kind of like a transient district.
Right. Yeah, exactly right. So, Ms. Andrea, you know this as well as I do, but there's a lot of apartments being built in the city of North Charleston. So where exactly are they building new apartments in your district right now?
Right behind my house. Right behind my neighborhood. Rivers Remount, behind the tracks that that cross Remount Road right there by Yeaman's Hall, where you can get entrance into Hanahan.
Right.
222 townhomes.
I saw that a couple of weeks ago when I was out there for work. Yeah, I definitely saw that.
Yep.
Wow.
And I fought that for years. I mean, we fought that for 10 or 12 years. You can look it up in the papers. I'm in there trying to fight for the community, you know, trying to make sure that there is a quality of life, both for the people that are going to perspective to live in the places, as well as the lands it's going to affect downstream.
Okay. So property value wise, how will that affect your residents?
You know, the city kept on telling us that we should not complain because it's going to increase our property values. But I don't care. It's not always about property values, and it's not always about money. It's about the quality of life of the people that can enjoy North Charleston. So,
yes, ma'am. And speaking of which, I know this is a redundant question, but what exactly is the quality of life now that you have those apartments over there?
Well, there's nobody living in them yet.
Okay.
We get lots of flat tires lately. We get lots of coming in and out of our neighborhood on Remount. We can't get in a lot. They don't have the roadblocks up. I don't feel like it's being done properly for the surrounding residents. There'll be a backhoe in the middle of Craig, and we can't get through. There's no flaggers. There's nothing. We even had to, I'm going to say, remind nicely that they needed to put up the silt barriers that is supposed to protect the waters. They didn't even have those up. They didn't have the protective caps on them because our kids and lots of people walk up and down Craig Street. And if somebody was to fall on one of those, it's a hazard, which is why it's supposed to be rule to have them. And they didn't have that. So it's a fight the whole way.
Wow. How many of those barriers do you actually need right now besides that one near Craig Street?
I don't know, because there's also the track. A lot of the residents in the district use the track as a means to get places. And the back track line doesn't have them either. And there's a huge retention pond that they've dug back there.
Wow.
So.
Well, let me ask you this. What has been the most important thing that actually has changed in your district in the past 2 years?
It's the building. It's the rezoning that is changing the district so much, or attempting to change the district. And I feel like it's on the backs of the long-term residents.
So how many long-termers do you have left in your district?
I don't know a number. I know, you look at Ferndale, that's long-term residents.
Yes,
you've got Singing Pines, you've got Oak Grove.
Sure.
You've got Liberty Hill, that's the long-term residents in there.
Wow.
In North Charleston, they're the residents that stayed through it when North Charleston, nobody wanted to come here. You know, we're the residents that have been here the whole time. You know, I grew up in North Charleston. Everybody said I lived on the wrong side of the tracks. And then when I grew up, I'm raising my kids in North Charleston. I bought here. I'm here. I've been here. I'm not going anywhere. And North Charleston really has the ability to be the greatest in the Tri-County. We can be better than Mount Pleasant, West Ashley. We can be better than, we have everything. Everybody comes here to eat, to have fun. And the only thing that we don't have is to live as comfortable as we could. They live a little bit more comfortable somewhere else, but North Charleston has the ability to do that.
I want to get back to that in just a second, but you mentioned zoning changes earlier, Ms. Andrea. So what zoning changes do you believe will affect the pace of growth in your district in the next 4 years?
When they get rid of our R1s. They're trying to get rid of our R1s. and build multifamily and just shove as many people in there. I mean, if you look at the studies, the more people that you have in an area, the more crime you have, the more unhappy you have, the more health problems you have. You know, they need to look at that instead of the tax basis. They need to look at that.
So what is the tax base right now in your district?
I mean, the houses are at the 4% if you're owner, 6% if you're not.
Right.
But, we also have the what's it called? The tax whenever you come in.
Accommodations.
Tourist tax and stuff like that. We've got all that. But the house taxes are constantly going up.
So where exactly is the land for all of this multifamily units that they want to put in your district?
Well, I guess if you see a tree, they want to cut it down. So they need to anywhere they find, though, they seem like anywhere they find, they want to cut it down. There's places in Ferndale, there's places in my neighborhood that are old and dilapidated that haven't been taken care of. Like, let's build there. Let's make that better before we go over here and cut down some trees.
And so when you look at your district right now, how many of those dilapidated buildings could actually use a transformation?
Lots. Lots. I mean, ride through any of the neighborhoods and you'll see it. You'll see vacant lots. You'll see houses boarded up. I know there's one that's been boarded up in my neighborhood for about 5 years. A perfectly good house. Like, let somebody come in and fix it up.
And then that brings me to my next question. Dan, exactly how should affordable housing look in your district?
That's a hard question. I think there's so much on the upper part of the politics that's got to go into that before you can figure it out. There's also, private landowners that you've got to figure out. I think it has to do with educating our people more, bringing in the better jobs, and not forgetting our people.
I have two questions for you. How many jobs do you need right now in your district?
What do you mean?
Yeah, what type of jobs will help stimulate your district and help it become a better district?
Well, we're going to get Roper in, and that's going to help.
Right.
And hopefully, and I've heard this happen before, whenever companies come in like that, they try to hire within so many miles of like a 10-mile radius.
Right. Like,
say, maybe they get a benefit if all of their employees, something like that. Right. Like, do that to help the district. And I think that would help us a lot. Bringing companies in and telling them, yeah, you're going to come here, but help our people. Let our people get the majority of the jobs, or, a certain percentage.
Speaking of percentage and obviously incentives, let's talk about the developers. What exactly do you want them to bring into your district as far as housing incentives?
The developers need to put back into our community well after they've left. I don't know exactly what that looks like or how that can be accomplished, because I don't know how many toes can be stepped on, like, legally. Like, you can't make people do too much. But it seems like they want to develop it. It looks nice. They want to sell it. And then 10 years from now, where are they? So somehow, whether it be hiring developers that are from this area and not letting as many outsider developers come in, I'm not sure how that looks. I'm sure there's many pathways to get there. And I think it would take, like, me working with the other city council members to put something on the books and make that happen.
I want to get back to that in just a second, but I know you mentioned obviously about, education as far as people who are living there right now in your district. So, Ms. Andrea, do you know how many residents in your district actually know about home ownership?
No, I don't. I don't. I could tell you that my generation,
Yes, ma'am.
I hear a lot from them saying, I'll never own a home, so why does it matter? And that's really sad for them to say that. Because I was brought up where that was kind of like a goal, like you own your home, but that was how my parents brought me up. And so I didn't know different. So I didn't realize that there was people out there that never thought it was within reach. So it's really sad to hear people say, I'll never own a home.
Do you believe, Ms. Andrea, that a lot of them, and I think I've heard a lot of them say it to me too as well, we would rather rent versus actually owning a home?
Yep. I think there's two things with that. I think one thing is how they're raised, how their mindset is when they're younger. I said, and another part of that, I think, is people are scared of repairs. They're scared to break it down, scared of the cost that it might incur, scared of the unknown of what they don't know.
Right.
And I get it. But it used to be in the old days, you could go ask somebody for help and they would help you. Today, it's not as much like that. But I think with the way that the world's going, we can get back to that if we can quit worrying about blue and red and all the things. If we can quit worrying about that, we can get back to that and help each other and work together and come to a common ground and figure it out.
What should be the common ground on North Charleston City Council when it comes to the future of the city?
The constituents, 1,000%. The constituents, what they're saying to us as city council members, what they're saying that they want done. We need to listen to them and figure out how to make that work, because they're the people that pay for the city and run it. They're the ones that are not getting heard.
Wow. Speaking of which, I know obviously the city of North Charleston's budget is over $100 million. As we sit here right now, Ms. Andrea, have you ever been able to manage a budget of that type?
Millions of dollars? No.
Okay. No worries.
I mean, if you wanted to talk about my personal finances,
no, ma'am.
I mean, not numbers per se, but I don't have credit card debt. I have a house mortgage, and I've paid for my vehicles; they're paid off. And I believe in not spending money until you have it. I believe in being responsible with the money that you have and trying to make sure you always have a backup in place. You need to make sure that you have, kind of like Dave Ramsey, right. You need to have a backup in case something happens. We don't need to be struggling when something happens and going, oh no, what do we do? We need to have a backup. We need to be able to support, ourselves and stay in the green. There's no reason to be in the red.
Do you believe over the past 4 years, when you think of COVID and all this other stuff, do you believe the city of North Charleston has been responsible with the taxpayers' money?
No, not at all. When there's people out there that are hungry, when there's people out there that don't have a roof over their head, and things are prioritized that while they're good thoughts, while $1 million parks are built, we have people out there that need something. I believe it could be divvied up better.
Do you believe, and I want to ask you this too, but how should equity be factored into the next city of North Charleston's budget that is, so that your district and other, you and your other districts can get money that you all deserve?
Well, I'd have to look at the current books and figure out where to cut.
Have you been able to look at the budget?
No, I haven't looked at the budget. I feel like that there's part of the budget that's probably questionable. And where it is, I'm not exactly sure. And currently, I don't feel like a regular citizen could get into and dive into that. I don't feel like the transparency is there where I could go and say, hey, can I look at this? I don't feel as a citizen that I could get a true 100% answer. And that's another reason why I want to run. I want to be able to there and try to find those answers so that whenever somebody comes to me and says where it is, I can show them, be like, hey, this is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. This is what it is. Instead of beating around the bush. I think if you go to City Hall right now, you get a lot of beating around the bush. And you know what? That costs money because it's people wasting hours and time. Like, just be upfront with the citizens and let's move forward.
I have two questions for you. Okay, if you were to be elected to North Charleston City Council in November, would you, on day one as councilwoman, ask for a forensic audit of the budget?
On day one, I don't know. I'd have to look and see how you do that. Like, is there a paperwork process? Is there a legal process? Would I be against that? No, not at all. And I also feel like that should be something that's shared automatically with all the new people coming in. Like, if you're starting over, you're starting everything, that needs to be open book, and that needs to be part of our, like, entrance packet, you know, and figure out where to go from there. You can't make a decision when you don't know what you're making a decision on.
And I wanted to ask you this, you know, obviously, but if North Charleston is an industrial workforce city, why do you believe the city is changing it in your particular district?
Our district is changing because they want to try to make it walkable and livable. And I don't disagree with that. I just disagree with the way that they're going about it. Where people that have lived in R1 for 60 years and they want to try to take that away from them, I think that's stepping the wrong way. So I guess that's where I think the idea is good. I think the action could be better.
Better. And what else do you want to work on when you get to city council?
My main things I want to work on is getting the people to trust the city and to trust me, that if they ask me a question, I can give them a straightforward answer and we can figure it out together. And I think that's the first part, is you have to build a relationship with trust so that you can move forward and see whatever changes that you think need to be done down the road or that we think need to happen now. So the first thing would be to form the trust bond between the citizens and the city again.
And as a disclaimer, I did invite North Charleston Mayor Keith Summey on Quintin's close-ups earlier this year, but he backed out. So I'm hoping he can come back on Quintin's close-ups before he leaves office to answer some of your questions and concerns as well. But for now, yes, ma'am. But for now, Andrea Bailey-Erb, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's close-ups.
Have a good day.
Likewise.